Hi, I'm Jill, and I'm one of the occupational therapists from Sensational Development. You can see our logo up in the top right corner. We are here to help you help your child or your student reach their maximum potential. So, as we like to say, and as it's studied and proven, you learn exponentially quicker when you are learning by doing something that you enjoy. So, think about your favorite hobby and what you learn from it. So today I'm going to go over some foundational skills that each academic group should be working on, and then we can build from there. These are also going to contain some of my favorite tips and tricks for working with students, the best gains that I've gotten through specific activities, and ways to do it in a collaborative way, and ways that you can easily do at home. So it's easy to provide a lot of worksheets, it's easy to print things out, but really thinking about what your child or your student needs is going to provide the best gains um, and work the best for both of you. Help them reach their goals and be the most independent with what they'd like to be doing. So looking at ages 2 to 3, toddler crafts. Closer to 2, they should be scribbling and coloring using their whole arm to do it. They should be able to use a shape sorter as well. So that's really getting the eyes and hands working together to build for larger visual motor integration activities like copying a drawing step by step or trying to draw their favorite Pokemon character. Also, as they get a little bit older, they should be able to stack and align blocks, imitate horizontal, vertical lines, and they should be able to make circular, horizontal, and vertical strokes. So what does this mean for crafts, right? I like to do a lot of weather play. I like to have children practice making suns by doing circular strokes and doing all of those horizontal, vertical, and diagonal lines. I also like to do tornadoes by going whoa and making a whole bunch of vertical circular strokes. A lot of times I also like to tape a large paper to the wall, tape a dot marker worksheet to the wall, have the child lay on their stomach, and complete these activities. So just thinking about how you can best incorporate their upper arm as well, or any other muscles or gross motor skills. Looking at our pre-K kiddos, I love to ask this age group, what do you want to do today? Who should we make? What should we make? Looking at the pictures I have here, there's a rainbow, a flower, and a unicorn. So here is where I like to start attempting to draw step by step or having the child trace, making simple forms like a circle and trying to make a flower, trying to make the clouds for a rainbow, and then doing the lines across for a rainbow, or getting that little curve in there, attempting to cut out papers to make strips of paper to glue onto a rainbow as well. Um, your child should be tracing more complex shapes now, like squares and diamonds. They should be making capital letters, practicing their pre-writing strokes. So that's all of those horizontal, vertical lines, plus sign, different things like that, and crossing midline. So say your child is right-handed, you want them to reach over to the left side of their body, pick something up like a crayon and bring it back, use the crayon and do it again. So there's a lot of different activities you could do this with. You could even do it with kerplunk, placing the sticks on one side as they're setting up, have them reach over and then put it in. For these kiddos, I also like to incorporate some hand endurance. So can they stay in the lines when they're coloring their favorite character on a coloring sheet, taped to the wall or laying on their stomach? Can they begin to fold paper, making paper airplanes, very simple crafts? Or can they make snowballs out of paper by crumpling up the paper and making a big ball? Or can they even rip it up and then crumple it up to make little tiny snowballs? Or rip up tissue paper and crumple it up to make 3D looking crafts. You can glue, different colors of tissue paper onto a rainbow. Looking at kindergarten crafts, we really want to talk about how their workload increased a lot. They're now doing a full day. There's a lot more noise, a lot more sound, a lot more requirements. They have to perform socially. They're getting a little bit older. They have to learn the rules of the classroom. They have to be able to sit for floor time or circle time in the morning. So we also are asking our kids to use scissors a lot more, and we're expecting that their hand dominance is mostly, if not completely, established. So thinking about this, we want to go back to our folding paper, our ripping paper, our crumpling paper, thinking about origami. Again, paper airplanes, and then can they write a sight word on the side? What do they want to call it? Again, forming their letters. So you can even think about multisensory techniques. So can they write lowercase letters in sand that you placed on a tray? Or can they make it out of Play-Doh or putty? Can they pick beads out of putty or coins out of putty and then place it into a coin bank or open a container to put it in, or a water bottle? Can they cut out simple shapes like a circle, a square, or a triangle? Large ones. Can they cut continuously even? Can they cut all the way across a paper on a dark line? Sometimes for this, I also like to maybe draw a bee at one end and a flower at the other, and they can cut down to bring the bee to the flower. Or if they have any preferred video game characters or animals that they like, you can even paste that onto a page and then print it out or draw it for them. You also want to make sure that they are continuing to reach across, crossing in front of their body to cross midline. This will help with larger gross motor bilateral skills. So even incorporating the craft into an obstacle course. So maybe they're doing a very simple color by number. You have them log roll down, get a crayon, jump on 2 feet back, color all the spots for number 1. Then repeat until they do all of them and they finish. So think about it. You're getting a lot of skills in there. It's a lot of fun. So that's kind of my favorite way to do that. Looking into crafts for grades 1 to 2. So our kids, again, the workload increased a lot. The expectations are a lot more academic based rather than learning classroom rules. Now they kind of know, and they can begin copying from the board. They can begin copying from worksheets. They're expected to know their spacing and sizing when writing. They're expected to be able to pay attention for a longer period of time with less movement. Also, sequencing tasks. So they have to unpack their backpack, get out their folder, take out their homework, bring it to their teacher, sit down, and start morning work. So that's a lot of steps. And also visual motor integration, using their eyes and hands together to, put the words from the word bank in the correct spot on the line, or to copy the correct sentence, or to read the correct sentence, and then write down the corresponding word from it. So thinking about things like that, your kids can copy their favorite superhero's catchphrase, or have them code something, get a code sheet. And you can make your own too, even by making a list of the alphabet and assigning numbers to each one in a little box or a chart. You can do shapes, anything like that. And then having them make their own code to write you a secret message, and then you have to decode it. And then you can switch. Sustained attention. So looking at how they're holding their body. What's the best way that they learn? Do they need movement before learning? And then kind of incorporating those strategies by working with your teacher or any professionals that are providing services to your child or your student. Looking at our older kids, we are going to incorporate a lot more social performance, social skills. So I like to think of games that incorporate writing as well as the social aspect. So board games are awesome for this. Thinking about Pictionary, drawing something that they're thinking of, and then the other person has to guess and then write the word and then switch. When you're doing this, you can have the child fold the paper into 4s and then cut it into 4s. So this is one of my favorite games. And you're also getting the hand endurance in there with all of the cutting and the folding. You can do more complex origami activities, even help the child make what they'd like to make. There's tons of different animal origami activities that are not too difficult, perfect for this age group. Continue to work on visual motor integration, doing a word search. You can even cut off the bottom of the word search, put it across the room, and have to remember, incorporating that visual information and recall element. You also want to think about ideation and self-expression. So our kids are getting a little bit older. They need to start asking for help if they need it. They need to ask for breaks if they need them. People are going to stop cueing them because they are older and they're expected to know these skills. So we want to make sure that they're on par with that as well. Ideation means thinking of something that they want to do. It's actually the first step in motor planning, so you use it when you're doing new motions or learning a new sport, but it also applies to different activities throughout the day. So, what kind of craft do they want to make? And then thinking about how they're going to make it and building from there and discussing emotions with them. If they draw a character that's upset, why did they do that? So kind of just building. Continuing to think about hand endurance, you can start to do speed writing tasks. So something like categories where you think of maybe 3 or 4 letters and then 3 or 4 categories. So you can have a name, an animal, a place, and a color. And then the child is given 1 minute, has to write 4 things that go with that first letter. Can they get all of the words? Can they think of those words? That's ideation again. And seeing how fast they can do it, how quickly they can do it. Is their letter formation on par? Are there any reversals in their writing? And also turn taking and coping if they lose the game or if they win the game, and doing that appropriately. So looking into our tweens and up. So I still love to use crafts even for older kids. Crafting has a special element to it that creates flow. And flow is something you experience when you're completely enamored in what you're doing. You lose track of time and you're just doing what you're doing in that moment. This is great for students of this age because they're getting older, they have a lot more stressors, they have to organize and plan and set goals and figure out what they're doing in their future, what their next step is, while navigating social relationships and navigating home life, navigating any extracurriculars that they're doing. What extracurriculars do they want to do? So kind of just getting them in that state of flow is really, really important, especially for developing coping skills. You can incorporate coping skills into a craft. One of my favorite things is putting tape down on a canvas, having the student paint on the canvas, peel off the tape, and then write some things that they love or write their favorite music quotes that are inspiring to them. Going into ideation and adjustment. So motor planning has a couple of steps, but planning out what you want to do, doing it, thinking about what went wrong, how you could change it to make it better for the adjustment. So this is extremely important as your student is learning to build their school routine, find out the best way that they learn, find out the best ways that they study, how to organize their belongings in a way that they don't have to run back to their locker at that specific period where their class is extremely far away and then they're late over and over, right? So something in their brain should be able to say, hey, I need to do something differently. What is it? Continuing to work on those visual skills. Our students are reading a lot more. They're reading from the board a lot more too, so they have to look constantly up and down from their desk to their board to copy from a far source. You want to make sure that they're not getting visually fatigued or visually overwhelmed. Using extra craft paper or getting a copy of notes are important things to really think about if your student is having difficulties with these skills. Talking about goal setting, organization, and planning are important too, because we want to make sure that there's an appropriate transitional plan in place, a realistic transitional plan in place. Can they set goals and can they achieve them? You can build this into different crafts by doing, coloring and just talking about it, or you can have them do that canvas activity. You can have them draw a picture and explain how it makes them feel, or draw a picture of themselves. You can even have them do a whole body size picture of themselves and fill it with adjectives that they want to be, or draw it as the person that they want to be, that they hope to be. Continue to think about building on social skills, working in groups, going on outings, or joining classes for things that they enjoy for students of that age. Maybe they really like to do pottery. Maybe they really wanted to take a watercolor class. So you're thinking about getting flow and also working on that social performance. So that is just about everything I have for you today. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. I'm going to attach another one of our videos on the screen so you can check it out. Please subscribe